All right, so this next clip is Tucker Carlson. The quote is, "This is happening all over the country." It's a little segment outlining some of the dissidents and disruptions that are going on out there.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. If you've been paying attention for the past few years, and if you're watching this show, we hope you are, there has likely been a moment when you realize that reality is not quite what you thought it was. Fake as Hunter Biden's laptop, Hunter Biden's laptop, Hunter Biden's laptop. Don't let the Russians lie to you. People love the vaccine mandates, even the thousands who've been fired because of them. They know perfectly well how naughty they've been. They need discipline, and they're grateful to get it. Thank you, Mr. President. May I have another? There is a reason, in other words, that Joe Biden is the single most popular head of state in American history. And the reason is he's awesome. How beloved is Joe Biden? Well, let's put it this way. At sporting events across the country, fans are breaking out in cheers for the White House and its wise and eloquent leader. These are not coordinated political set pieces, astroturf, as we say in Washington. No, these are spontaneous eruptions of love. 1 minute you'll be watching a college football game from the stands. The next minute you'll be overcome with the desire, the pressing, irresistible need to tell Joe Biden how great he is. It's like having to go to the bathroom real bad, except better and more progressive. This is happening, ladies and gentlemen, and it's happening everywhere. A cresting tsunami of support for Joe Biden. Here's a sample. It's inspiring when you think about it. Joe Biden, on his first day in office, promised to bring this country together, and now he's actually doing it. It doesn't matter what team you showed up to root for. In your heart, you are a Joe Biden fan, and that is national unity. Now, not everyone is for this, of course. To Vladimir Putin, who hates us for our freedoms and also because he's Russian, this is a threat. Loving Biden is a thing of beauty, so by definition, Vladimir Putin must destroy it. It's like a sunset, a rose garden, a baby's smile. It's something lovely that must be defiled if Russia is going to dominate the world. So in order to corrupt what is good and beautiful, Putin has spread the lie that these expressions of pure devotion to Joe Biden are instead attacks on Joe Biden, vulgar attacks that include an epithet beginning with F. And sadly, a lot of people believe that. Russian disinformation is effective. That's why they do it. So thank heaven NBC has been there to correct that misperception. Over the past several years, NBC has done maybe more than any other news organization in this country to fight the Kremlin's propaganda machine. Thanks to NBC, for example, your doubts about the fairness of the last election have not only been settled, they're now illegal. You're not allowed to express them ever again. So we can be thankful that there was a credentialed representative of NBC Sports on hand earlier this month when fans at a NASCAR event began to spontaneously celebrate Joe Biden. If the NBC lady had not been there, you might very well have misheard what the crowd said. Watch.
Oh my God, just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me I can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Brandon.
F Joe Biden? Please, come on. Wake up, America. That's like looking at the thriving, incredibly robust economy all around us and concluding there's inflation. Settle down, Vladimir Putin. That's ridiculous. What they said, and you could hear it very clearly if you just open your ears to the truth, is let's go, Brandon. The NBC lady made that very clear. Not F Joe Biden, let's go, Brandon. But who is Brandon, you ask? Well, just another happy American who is grateful for the wise leadership of his benevolent president. In fact, Brandon is a newly arrived American, part of what we call the Biden generation. He's an undocumented trans Haitian migrant now enrolled, thanks to a Pell Grant, as a film studies major at NYU, as well as a part-time non-binary rights activist and puppeteer. Brandon is the embodiment of the new American dream, where everything's free but everyone is still angry. Just this month, thanks to Joe Biden, Brandon got his 4th COVID shot. That means he's an incredibly good person, far better than you are. And the crowd is simply celebrating that, as grateful people spontaneously do. Let's go, Brandon! Let's get a fifth shot! Let's go, Brandon! So once you strip away the Russian propaganda, it's all pretty obvious and natural. But it does make you wonder, if you pause for a moment, if the Russians are lying about Brandon, what else are they lying about? And we're glad you asked. They're lying about hospitals. Vladimir Putin is making up stories about our hospitals here in the United States. Putin claims that our healthcare system is collapsing because of Joe Biden's vaccine mandates. And that's preposterous. And yet somehow those crafty and relentless Kremlin propagandists have managed to get that story onto American television. Watch this.
Hospital officials say they still plan to pause service in the maternity unit starting Saturday.
You know, we've had 43 resignations. 70% of those are in clinical areas. Unfortunately, a number of the maternity nurses, you know, the professionals who do labor, delivery, and postpartum care are part of that group.
So the maternity nurses all left. There'll be no more delivering babies in that hospital. Now, the Russians blame Joe Biden for this, but the truth is very different. The truth is that this is yet another heartfelt tribute to Joe Biden. Those nurses left so they can devote more time to campaigning for Joe Biden's re-election in 2024. Once again, this is an act of love disguised by a foreign power as an act of contempt. That's happening in a lot of places, ladies and gentlemen, not just New York. Central Maine Medical Center is one of the biggest hospitals in the state of Maine. It just halted its pediatric and trauma admissions. You want to treat your child for a disease, you've been hurt in a car accident, you can't go there. Why? Well, they cited staffing shortages because of the vaccine mandates. According to a local news outlet, quote, the hospital is preparing to potentially lose hundreds of workers. So far, 84 staff members have resigned. This is one hospital in a smallish town in one state. And they're going to, quote, lose hundreds of workers. Well, that's one way to look at it. That's the Russian way to look at it. The patriotic way to look at it, the Joe Biden-approved way to look at it, is very different. Here it is. It means hundreds of new job openings for the foreign nationals currently streaming over our southern border. There will be no unemployment crisis for them. So, in fact, this is a massive win. Thanks to the vaccine mandate, these illegal Americans will have plenty to do, not just in Maine, but everywhere. In Washington state, the Spokane Spokesman Review just reported that, quote, long-term care facilities could face critical staffing shortages. Why? Vaccine mandates taking effect October 18th. Oh, so if you just showed up from another country without permission to be here, you know what you can do for a living, take the place of someone who moved on, legacy Americans. In the state of Michigan, the head of the largest nursing homes association said the vaccine mandates will cause them to, quote, face an even greater crisis. Or, as a good American would put it, a greater opportunity. Residents of Seattle, by the way, are about to have plenty of new opportunities to practice their self-defense skills. It's a good excuse to brush up on that Taekwondo from 5th grade. Bet you forgot about those skills. Time to get them back. The people of Seattle are about to confront a massive shortage of law enforcement officers. Why? You guessed it. Joe Biden's vaccine mandates. Here's how one local news station reported it.
Already short-staffed, the Seattle Police Department is preparing for a potential mass firing of officers. Starting October 13th, the agency will move into what's called a Stage 3 mobilization. What the department's manual says is reserved for scenarios that have the, quote, potential to cause significant harm, property destruction, or widespread public fear. 354 sworn personnel had not submitted proof of vaccination as of Tuesday. That number dropped to 292 today. But still, that's more than 25% of all deployable officers.
So we've just given you a snapshot of what's happening in the country, but it's happening all around the country, from coast to coast and all through the middle of the country. And it's happening right now. And that means in the coming months, at some point, you're going to call 911 for an emergency, or you're going to show up at the hospital with an injury, or you're going to try to catch an airplane flight. And you will notice that you can't, because the hospitals, the police departments, the fire departments, your airlines, none of them work anymore. Now, Joe Biden is going to take the blame for this. If the Russians have their way, Vladimir Putin will tell you, it's Joe Biden's fault. Oh, no. It's a tribute to Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to...
Let's go, Brandon. No. All right, so that's tough. That's a tough segment to follow. But I think that our special behind the scenes clip, we got the Southwest CEOs and their statement on this, because Tucker's taking pot shots at the airlines. And, you know, I see what he was doing there with the sarcasm thing, you know, using Russia as like the proxy through which he can say the truth on the air without being unpatriotic, right? It's kind of the thing you'd do in the East Germany Stasi times, or the Soviet Union's time, or the KGB, keeping tabs on what you're saying. He's almost like speaking in code. I bet it's going to get worse from here, not better. He's going to be, before you know it, he's going to be like, the chair is against the wall. Repeat, the chair is against the wall. If you
everything will be
you're a fan of a certain movie from the 80s called Red Dawn, which might be about a Chinese communist takeover of America. It might not be, depending on if the Chinese got around to censoring it yet and reformulating it as Korea.
They just changed the strategy. That was a little bit too conspicuous.
They remade that movie recently, and then there was a whole
I know.
hubbub because it was, you know, they're like, China's like, no.
Well, that's not nice.
Well, anti-Joe Biden chanting has continued over the weekend at various events across the United States. Chants were erupting in crowds at the Mississippi State vs Alabama game on Saturday, the Braves vs Dodgers baseball game on Sunday, and even at a Luke Bryan concert. The Let's Go Brandon chant has also become popular over the last few weeks as another dig to President Joe Biden. It's in reference to the viral video that surfaced a few weeks ago of race car driver Brandon Brown partaking in his post-win interview at Talladega.
Jackman Ricky Bobby places third in the Dennett Racing Machine. Ricky, first of all, where did you learn to drive like that?
The car hand rig.
It's an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me, as you can hear the chants from the crowd, let's go, Brandon. And you told me you were going to kind of hang back those stages and just watch and learn.
The video became so popular that rapper Loza Alexander made a rap, Let's Go Brandon, which has now soared to #1 on the iTunes hip-hop chart.
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go.
All right, guys, so I gotta admit, I am a huge fan of this Let's Go Brandon / F Joe Biden movement, because I just find it to be absolutely hilarious for just multiple reasons. Okay, one of the main reasons is that once the Democrat establishment actually catches on, like the Democrat mainstream media catches on to it, they're gonna lose their minds, right? And they most surely will, because this thing is continuing to go viral, right? We saw Let's Go Brandon all weekend at college football games. We've seen it everywhere, right? I mean, it's to the point now, guys, where kids have now caught on to the meme, as this kid stunned an interviewer at a Napa racing event this weekend by saying the iconic phrase on camera. Take a look.
Parts, they're going to help kick this thing off. All right, guys, ready? In 3, 2, 1.
Drivers, start your engines. Let's go, Brandon.
41. Bruh, I'm gonna tell you, that interviewer did not know what to say, right? He was shook, right? This, whole F Joe Biden movement, it's not only just going viral in the US, but it's also going international, as now you have video footage of people in Rome now shouting F Joe Biden.
Fuck Joe Biden! Fuck Joe Biden!
As I have a couple stories here that have popped up recently that demonstrates how pissed people are getting about this whole F Joe Biden thing, right? Not just Biden himself, who we all know is aware that people are saying that about him and he's upset about that. But you also have, you know, people flying this flag outside their houses, and it's triggering a lot of people. As there's a story here about a landlord who directed a tenant to remove the F Biden flag from in front of his Burlington house. Right.
Turning again to I-Team 8, the city of Kokomo has ordered a man to remove a flag from his house, a flag with profanity directed at President Biden and his supporters. I-Team 8's Richard Essex has this story for us.
The owner of this house in Kokomo has put a flag on the north side of his house. It's a blue flag with white letters with white stars across the top and across the bottom. And there's a particular 4-letter word that we cannot show you on TV. Some people find it offensive. The city of Kokomo has demanded that he take the sign down, but he's hired a lawyer and says it's not going anywhere.
Protest, he hung a flag on the side of his house that says F Biden and F you for voting for him. Of course, he used the actual word rather than a euphemism.
The owner of the flag's lawyer says the sign is staying up and has filed a lawsuit in federal court.
So again, you know, like it's stuff like this, guys, that really does highlight how important Let's Go Brandon is, okay? Because, you know, the libs are going to be like, oh my God, I'm so triggered by F you, buddy. You said the F word, even though they were not triggered by F Trump, right? F Trump was cool, right? Free speech. Okay, you got songs that say F Donald Trump. They had all types of imagery, you know, about Trump, all types of stuff, right? And listen, at the end of the day, they're right. It is free speech. But this is free speech as well. But, you know, like I said, the power of Let's Go Brandon is that it keeps it family friendly, right? So that you avoid stuff like this, okay? And this, in my opinion, is what's going to drive the left insane when this thing goes mainstream, right? When it goes so mainstream that even CNN is going to have to acknowledge it.
Yep, that's it.
Oh, you just want me to bring page them up here?
Yeah,
oh.
yeah.
Let's Go Brandon.
Yep.
Attention customers, can Let's Go Brandon please come to the service desk up front? Let's Go Brandon, please come to the service desk up front. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.
Shake and bake, baby. Shake and bake.
Hey, how you doing, buddy? Can you page somebody, please?
Yeah.
It's first name Lesko. Yep.
What's last name?
Brandon.
Let's have a Brandon?
Yeah.
Before, you know, she comes, I would wrap some before she comes, and then after.
Let's Go Brandon, your party's waiting for you at guest service. Let's Go Brandon, your party's waiting for you at guest service.
Wow, that's pretty good. You sound like a professional. You must train at this every day.
I do it every night, carrying this whole sheet.
Okay, thank you, buddy. Brandon, let's go.
Paging, let's go, Brandon.
Shake and then bake.
I don't know if you have an intercom system or not, but I'm just looking to see if you could page him for the front.
What did they look like?
Let's see. Tall. You have like a NASCAR hat on.
Yeah. I'll go do a loop around the store.
Okay. Maybe if we call him together. Let's go. Let's go. Last name's Brandon, by the way.
Brandon?
Yeah.
That's a good prank.
It's a what?
It's a good prank.
How did you know that?
Trust me, I've been.
Did you just figure that out?
Yes. Right as you said the last name Brandon, I was like, I knew it. That was a good one, though.
If you thought people paging Let's Go Brandon at Walmart was funny, wait until you hear about what happened on a Southwest Airlines flight over the weekend.
On a Southwest Airlines flight from Houston to Albuquerque last Friday, a pilot went onto the public address system and, after discussing visibility and the weather, ended his greeting to passengers with the phrase, "Let's go Brandon." That's according to the Associated Press, which coincidentally had a reporter on board. "Let's go Brandon" is a tongue-in-cheek reference to the phrase F Joe Biden. It all started when...
Yeah, we know how it started. CNN goes on to complain about how it's popping up everywhere, like sports stadiums and even the floor of the House of Representatives.
Let's go, Brandon.
You may recall at first they ignored it, hoping it would go away, but the phenomenon just keeps growing, and now the Marxists aren't very happy that so many people are openly denouncing old Joe. This CNN contributor equates Let's Go Brandon with praising ISIS, tweeting, quote, "As an experiment, I'd love for a Southwest airline pilot to say, 'Long live Ilhan Omar's favorite organization,' before taking off. My guess is that 1, the plane would be immediately grounded, 2, the pilot fired, and 3, a statement issued by the airline within a matter of hours." An Associated Press reporter happened to be on that flight and demanded to speak to the pilot, and later tweeted that he wouldn't unlock the cockpit and come and talk to her, and says that she was almost thrown off the flight because, well, she's a lunatic. This CNN contributor tweeted that Let's Go Brandon has become the MAGA version of praising Adolf Hitler. This NBC reporter called the Secret Service to report a company making lower thirds for AR-15s, which have Let's Go Brandon engraved in them. What a surprise. They had no comment. The Marxists are demanding the pilot be identified and fired because only black people are allowed to make political statements and protest while they're on the job. And being a football player, making millions of dollars a year for chasing after a ball, is such a horrible job that Colin Kaepernick in his new Netflix special equates it with being a slave. Equally hilarious is watching the liberal media industrial complex try to explain the origin and the meaning of Let's Go Brandon. NPR reports no one is really cheering on a guy named Brandon. Instead, the phrase is being used in conservative circles in place of a more vulgar message directed at President Biden. Well, it is kind of hard to ignore these days, especially when it's popping up everywhere, like the World Series. Let's go Brandon! Let's go Brandon! This phenomenon has hit CNN the hardest. Jim Sciutto tweeted out, "Think about the lesson the Let's Go Brandon crowd is teaching their children." This from the network that just brought a teenage girl on air to celebrate that she flipped off a group of anti-mask protesters at her school.
In this photo, which is gone viral, you can see a 14-year-old student giving a one-fingered salute to anti-mask protesters outside her school. In that saluter there, as we should say, Fiona joins me now, along with her finger, and her mother, Megan Downey. Thank you both so much for being with us this morning.
And let's not forget how much they enjoyed spewing profanity after a report said that Donald Trump referred to certain countries as bleep-hole countries, dropping the S word 195 times in a day. And these same people crying about how they're going to have to explain what Let's Go Brandon means to the kids, celebrated when Robert De Niro shouted F Donald Trump live on the air at a Hollywood award show. You probably saw the clip, it went viral, and I'm sure it's the last time that Robert De Niro will ever make the news until his obituary is published. Much to liberals' disappointment, it appears that Let's Go Brandon is here to stay. It certainly hasn't reached peak meme market cap yet, because every day it continues to pop up in the most unexpected places.
I can't believe what's happening to America. F Joe Biden. Yeah, f Joe Biden. Yeah.
Hey, be careful, students. If one of the Marxist teachers hears you talking like that, you're gonna get suspended. From now on, just say Let's Go Brandon instead. It means the same thing, but you won't get into any trouble.
Thanks, Mr. Jones. Yeah.
You're welcome. Now you know, and knowing is half the battle. Let's go, Brandon!
To help spread the word, get your very own Let's Go Brandon shirt from my online store at markdice.com.
Let's go, Brandon.
Hey.
Let's go, Brandon.
Hey.
Let's go, let's go,
Hey.
let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
You know what they saying, ho?
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
So here's a fun story. This guy, Brandon, is a race car driver, right? And he's being interviewed after his victory, his racy car driver victory. Is there anything more boring than watching guys drive around a track? Anyway, here we go. Yes, baseball. So as he's being interviewed, the crowd starts chanting, "Fuck Joe Biden." And the interviewer says something funny. Watch this.
Thank you to all of our partners. Oh my God, it's just such an unbelievable moment.
Brandon, you also told me As you can hear the chants from the crowd. Let's go, Brandon. Brandon, you told me you...
Let's go, Brandon.
To kind of hang back those first two stages and just watch and learn. What did you learn that helped you there in those closing laps?
Oh my God, it was
No, NBC is airing a crowd of people screaming the F word. They're not going to get fined. They're supposed to get fined for that. They're not going to be fined for that. They're airing, and
But you know, Jimmy, I do want to say one more thing. Aren't they completely lying about the facts? And nothing's going to happen to NBC, isn't it? Right then and there.
Shit, the fact is they weren't yelling, they weren't chanting, let's go, Brandon. They were chanting F Joe Biden. So they're misinforming the public. You're right. That should be taken down as misinformation.
how each line didn't stay to one, and everything shifted top to bottom so much.
So that's hilarious. So there it is. There's your let's go. So everybody's been, so they've been doing it everywhere, by the way, at a lot of college football stadiums. They've been doing it everywhere. So now they are actually cheering "Let's go, Brandon" as a joke. That's great. This should be great. I love that people. So now people will know when you go, "Hey, let's go, Brandon." What you're really saying is "F Joe Biden." That's a nice way to say it. I love it.
All right, guys, ready? In 3, 2, 1.
Drivers, start your engines. Let's go, Brandon.
41.
I wonder if Brandon's going to run for president.
The show created this.
Mike Timpson created these. We have these teachers. T-shirts are now available. Let's go, Brandon. And I'm going to be wearing one of these.
In stadiums like this all around the country, we're seeing a movement, the F Joe Biden movement. It's moving beyond stadiums now. It's moving to other events. Why do you think it's becoming such a big deal? And why do you think it's resonating politically and culturally?
Yeah, let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. I can't stop saying it.
Listen, it's happening because of the disastrous policies that are implemented by Joe Biden. People are angry. People who come to these stadiums who want to gather and celebrate a great American tradition like college football, and you have Joe Biden trying to shut things down and shut people out, and you got Fauci saying you got to stay home until Christmas. Or
But hey, I watch Fox News because it's America. It's my America. It's a real station telling the real truth every day. And by the way, let's go, Brandon.
Okay, all right. He's a big college football fan. What are you going to do? All right, back to you guys.
All right, everyone, we start off today talking about the Let's Go Brandon meme because I think it goes a lot further than the actual origin, and I wanted to explain that. Of course, the origin, too long didn't read version, is that people were saying fuck Joe Biden. They were chanting it at a sports event, specifically a NASCAR match, and the commentator, the person doing the announcer for the race, was pretending that they were actually saying "Let's go, Brandon," and trying to get people, I guess, in the viewing audience at home not to understand that half of the fucking crowd was shouting out against Joe Biden. By the way, apparently, there were some people saying, well, actually, this could be incitement. It could be illegal doing this in the legacy media, and I'm thinking to myself, that's utter horse shit and would never stand up in a court. So no, it is not illegal for you to chant fuck Joe Biden. The fact that he's the president, there's no Alien and Sedition Act. In other words, this is settled science, so don't worry about it. But it's actually an ultimatum that goes far further, I think, than Joe Biden. The surface of the iceberg, the tip of the iceberg is just anger at Joe Biden. Underneath that, there's something else, and I'm going to try to explain what I think is happening, and it's not great for the Democratic Party. Now, I think this is a referendum on the Democratic Party more. Let's Go Brandon is basically an ultimatum. The fuck Joe Biden thing is almost tangential. The ultimatum is basically that the Democratic Party needs to reform itself. If it's not willing or capable of doing that, the American people will boot them out and punish them. Now, here's why I say that. People's frustration at Joe Biden is not simply due to Joe Biden's own mistake-making. Yes, re-regulating a bunch of industries and businesses during an arguable edge of recession situation is a bad idea. Yes, spending enormous amounts of money and wanting to spend even more amounts of money, causing inflation, causing various economic issues when we should be scaling back government significantly, that's a mistake. Yes, the Afghanistan withdrawal was completely botched, although the withdrawal itself needed to happen, and Biden is singularly, as the commander-in-chief, responsible. Whether he's with it or not means nothing. At least in the case of being a steward, being a figurehead, he's going to take the blame or the credit when anything related to the military happens. Now, but it goes further. The Democrats spent literally decades, we're talking, go back to the friggin' 90s and they were doing this. They have spent decades whining and dining leftoids, far leftists, that the core of the party doesn't agree with, that people, mainline Democrats all over the country, can't stand. And what happened is that the Justice Dems, the Jank types, a few of the leftoid influencers and moneyed interests, groups that are that somehow, despite being a bunch of hippies, they have rather large amounts of money. They have done something that prior never happened. They've gotten a significant chunk of House Democratic leadership under their thumb. You basically quasi-corporate interest control all of these people. AOC, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, etc., etc. These are astroturfed individuals. Most of them don't believe their own shit. Those that do, possibly like AOC, are desperately dumb. They're absolutely fucking stupid. Yes, AOC genuinely is an ignorant individual. That's not an act. Ilhan Omar, I think she's much more intelligent. She's just evil, which explains the embezzlement of millions of dollars to her husband's consulting firm when she was running. Nobody wants to talk about this anymore. They'd rather talk about adultery. I'm more concerned about taxpayer money being frittered away. Anyway, keeping that in mind, you now have a significant proportion of House Dems that don't really get along with the rest of the party. Instead of forcing them back out, and they've done half-assed things like Pelosi will berate AOC once in a while. Ilhan Omar will have Joe Manchin saying something. Joe Manchin calls AOC like girl or something. Other than that, though, the Democratic leadership still sees them as valuable, but they want to keep them sort of in the back. But they're the ones promulgating them within the party. So when you have more than enough House Dems, because it's a very close House right now, not willing to vote on Biden's key infrastructure bill. This is his signature legislation, and it's stalled right now and has been for more than 6 months. That's because the Democrats have allowed the far left to metastasize within their party to the point where they took a broad umbrella party and then they tried to grab another umbrella. These things don't work well together. You're going to be jostling those umbrellas around, and you're going to end up in the drip line between them both. That's basically a metaphor for what's happening to the Democrats. Let's Go Brandon is not just about Joe Biden. They're going to try to put it off on Biden. Right now, he's lost so much support that the Democrats have taken a step back, and he's getting pummeled, and they're like fiddling nervously, wondering how low his polling will go and whether they can throw him under the bus and get rid of him. That's what they're doing right now. Don't let them escape it, though. Why is Joe Biden so disliked? It's because of policies that are imposed in part because of a broad Democratic platform dragged to the far left, that at the same time, because of that far left, can't actually pass any meaningful legislation. It's impossible because you don't have the votes. And why, by the way, didn't they take the Senate? Why, by the way, did they lose so much support in the House? It's because they're dysfunctional and they don't know what the hell they're doing. So it's not just let's go Brandon, it's fuck the Democrats as well. That's about all. Peace out.
If you look at that, if you look at what's going on with some of the big corporations with their woke agenda, when you look at the Brandon administration in terms of what they're doing. You know, I don't even know, like, do you know how that started? Like, it was, and like, you know, you have the media, they're hand-wringing over this. But, you know, it was at a NASCAR race, and they're doing an interview with a driver. I guess his name was Brandon. And the crowd starts chanting very colorful language about Joe Biden. And it was obvious that they were doing. And, you know, it is what it is. First of all, they said way worse about Trump for 4 years. We know that. But so they're chanting this. And so you have a reporter from NBC who knows that's what they're saying. And she's trying to cover for Biden. So she says, yeah, they're chanting, let's go, Brandon. And that was a lie. And it was a lie. And so this chant, I think, has taken on a life of its own because it exposes the dishonesty of these corporate reporters and what they do every day to try to lie.
The point is, what I'm thinking about today is what these people who, and I've got a small piece of one of the beams they gave me last time, or not last time, but how many times ago, and the flag they gave me. And I'm thinking of, you know, what are the people who died? What would they be thinking? They think this makes sense for us to be doing this kind of thing where you ride down the street and someone has a sign saying F so-and-so, or, I mean, it's not who we are.
And they gon' try to censor this one, yeah. Fuck Biden, stop whispering in little kids' ears. Fuck Biden, he been making this shit worse all year. Fuck Biden, he don't love America and it's clear. He belongs in a cold cell city. Gotta call it how it is, dawg. This man is an idiot. He can't even form a sentence, dawg. This man is illiterate. We get fucked and stuck with Kamala, we get rid of it. What the hell of a predicament. And every time I'm scrolling, see his post, it ain't nothing but trolling. America ain't fucking with this guy, that's a fact and he know it. Middle fingers up, here's the way we feel about you, Joey. Fuck Biden, they gon' try to censor this one, yeah. Fuck Biden, stop whispering in little kids' ears.
Fuck Joe Biden! Fuck Joe Biden!
Hey, are they saying fuck Joe Biden?
No, sir, I said let's go Brandon. Let's go Brandon.
Are you saying fuck Joe Biden or let's go Brandon?
Fuck Joe Biden!
Huh? I was saying let's go Brandon.
Let's go Brandon! Hey. Let's go Brandon!
Say it.
Let's go Brandon!
Let's go Brandon is something that you might not be allowed to say soon, which is why I was only saying it then to point out how you might not be allowed to say it soon. Let's go Brandon. Funny phenomenon or dangerous terror threat comparable to ISIS? Is that the question? Is beginning to be censored and talked about as a kind of terrorism. What does this rhetoric do to a culture? Is it fair? And also, is there an example of real hypocrisy and double standards? Because I feel like fuck Donald Trump was a thing that was actively encouraged on mainstream media. The main thing is, though, with all this puritanical guarding of the public space and making sure that there's no political division, when Donald Trump was president, there was absolutely no condemnation or attempts at creating discontent then. So at least there's no double standards.
Robert De Niro.
I'm going to say one thing. Fuck Trump.
But I like Robert De Niro. He's one of my favourite actors. I think he's well cool. Either it's wrong or it ain't. No timeless values, no honour, no principles. That would be the reason that I would criticise anyone in a position of power that values their own self-advancement and the sustenance of the system above all else. These are things that anyone's capable of. I'm capable of. I'm full of hypocrisies and flaws. I'm a human being.
Brandon. Pick the wrong race, but don't worry. We're giving everybody the smoke today. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Hey,
NASCAR got him chanting. Hey, let's go, Brandon. Some don't understand it. Who really commanded? Left Kabul abandoned. How dare he do it, Dannon? He don't want us to breathe and strangle it from Scranton. Someone give assisted, live in a car, get your man back. He don't know what's real at all. Oh, what about Amtrak? They don't care about this virus, really flights are jam-packed. Everybody gotta go and get a vaccine. when I'm asking you, better have a stamp. Prices rising by the minute. Tell me you I'm buying in it. That's work hard, I don't go get it. I am not complying with it. Got that drive, don't try it. Or anybody exercise and try to limit my DVR. Everybody wanna lie, my reply, let's go TMR.
Let's go, let's go, let's go, Brandon. Hey.
Like button, you guys, if you ain't smashed the like button already, man, I'm gonna get into a few things today. I'm gonna have to do this record, Let's Go Loza, and it's gonna be a fun record, and I can't wait to do it. So we'll see what happens, and it is what it is. I'm gonna do what I feel like I need to do as a musician, as an artist, and of course I'm gonna hand deliver you guys the best music about what you guys are feeling, everything that you guys are feeling in your heart about what's going on in this country. I'm gonna do just that, and I will never stop doing that. And you know, I'm gonna do regular music on the side and stuff for those who want to hear me talk about going to the beach and sipping a pina colada and having a good old time. I'm definitely gonna be doing those records for you guys. So I'm here to deliver, be you guys' voice, and that's the mission. And I don't want nobody to think that my focus is off of that, because it won't be. Okay. I know what my mission is. I know what I'm supposed to do, and you know, but I got to take a little time out to have a little fun and speak my damn mind.
Let's go, Brandon. Hey. Let's go, Brandon. Hey. Let's go. Let's go. Hey. Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
You know what they saying, ho?
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
You know what they saying, ho?
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
You know what they saying, ho?
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
Hey, you know what they saying, ho? Hey, you know what they saying, no? Hey, you know what they, yeah, you know what they, yeah, hey. And I say it with a passion as I pull off in the Aston. Don't nobody like his ass, huh? Tried to cover up and tell the people, go Brandon. But we know what they saying, though. You can hear the chant in every post. Don't nobody want this commie, cause we not in China. Everybody hated Trump and now they out to catch a body. That's what they get for treating us like we in Squid Games. Green light, mandate, like he's insane. These times people waking up to everything. Go Brandon, but we all know what the saying mean.
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
You know what they saying, ho?
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
You know what they saying, ho?
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
You know what they saying, ho?
Let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon.
Hey, you know what they saying, ho? Hey, you know what they saying, no? Hey, you know what they, yeah, you know what they, yeah, hey.
I got questions like Nikki. You won't jab me. You won't jab me for the job. You won't jab me. You won't jab me for the job. I'll never take the jab. You can fire me. I'll never take the jab. You can. I'll never take the jab. You can fire me. I'll never take the jab. You can. Let me go. Yeah. I'll be ghosting. Unemployment. Here we go. Yeah. Cause my life is more important than a paycheck. And I'm anointed and my God ain't finna take that. F your mandates, F your mandates. You letting go of all these heroes, what a damn shame. And China wanna pick a bone with the USA. But once we stand up, I bet you it will not go their way. I ain't anti-vaccine, but I'm pro-choice. And what happened to Dr. Sebi and those voices? Man, what happened to taking herbs and healing natural? And every time I try to speak out, it's always a hassle. Big tech, wanna take a big check. I pray them demons fall flat with no success. I pray them demons see Jesus when it's paid back. And I'll be riding to heaven inside a Maybach. Shout out to all the
the nurses, y'all can dance now. If they try and fire you, take it as an advance now. Cause God got you, you just bounce back tenfold. Don't believe me, just remember Joe. I got questions like Nikki. You won't jab me, you won't jab me for the job. You won't jab me, you won't jab me for the job. I'll never take the jab, you can fire me. I'll never take the jab, you can. I'll never take the jab, you can fire me. I'll never take the jab, you can. My body, my choice, says God, and you can never change that on God. And I can never let the left take my freedom. I see it coming for people who don't believe that they fraud. And I'm still number one, even though they stole it. But this record too hot to copy. The Loza train rolling, stone cold, focus on point. And I'm so high in the clouds for making this joint. Shout out to In and Out, thank you for standing with us. And I'm selling out to them demons, they wanna get us. People losing their jobs, thinking they had no choice, but they forget that Jesus got us to fill in all the voids. Rather y'all fire me than to trust the system that's falling. And I'm so happy I'm woke, I'm not sleeping on all this. Yeah, I'm wide awake, and I gotta wait. Moved out of state, and took the devil's stake, and pierced his heart with it, and made art with it. Got out the dark with it, I'm so sharp with it. My heart's authentic, I'm getting lost in it, cause I love my country so much. Like, I got questions like Nikki. You won't jab me, you won't jab me for the job. You won't jab me, you won't jab me for the job. I'll never take the jab, you can fire me. I'll never take the jab, you can. I'll never take the jab, you can fire me. I'll never take the jab. I got questions like Nikki. You won't jab me, you won't jab me for the job.